multiple unit control. Okay, so let's discuss about the multiple unit control. So for the city and suburban services, the motor coaches are usually used. Okay, motor coaches, so the coaches are usually used for such for motor coaches may have one or two trial coaches. Okay, so the length of the train which is depends upon the number of motors and the trailer coaches employed. So number of motors and the trailers, how many number of trailers are there, based on that the length of the train will be varies. Okay, so the trailer coaches are employed, which of course is determined by the number of passengers. How many trailer coaches should be there, it's of course it is determined by the number of passengers to be carried here. So the number of motor coaches is different at the different times of the day depending upon the density of the traffic and the various reasons. Okay, so density of the traffic, various reasons, so the motor coaches, the number of coaches, everything will be depends here. So for that multiple unit control is used. So the motor coaches however must be capable of control from the single point, so there is a n number of coaches in the train, but they should be capable to control from the single point. Okay, so this objective is achieved in case of the multiple control method. So you have a train, so engine is here and the motor is here, you have a coaches which is connected one to one. So the controlling of all the motors should be takes place from the one place. Okay, so this objective of this is achieved in case of the multiple unit control. So objective of this is achieved in case of the multiple unit control. So here what happens, the unit of the train equipment which consisting of the group of 2 or 4 motors, okay, in every motor coach are provided with a series parallel controller. Okay, so series parallel controller, you can see here, this is a unit 1, all the units should be controlled here, multiple unit. So unit 1, unit 2, unit 3, so here there is a controller in all the units. Okay, series controllers are provided. The controllers and the reversers are controlled by the master control in a cab of any motor coach. So all this will be controllers are connected. So controllers at each unit will be controlled by the master controller which is at the cab. So the electric cables joining the various units are called as a coupling cables. So the electric cables, so this is a unit 1, this is the unit 2, unit 3. So these are the electric cables which are joining together. So these cables are called as a coupling cables. So the controller in any unit may be operated and it can be seen in your figure here. So the controller, so here different controllers we have, controllers 1 2 3 for 3 units, 3 controllers are there. So they can be operated and you can see that from the figure here. Okay, so that all the motors starts simultaneously. In this case all the motors, so you have a motor here 1 2, each unit has each motor, but all the motors starts at the simultaneous way. So if the controller unit number 1, so say for example unit number 1, so controller is operated. Okay, it energizes the relay 1, so it energizes the relay contact, so relay 1, okay, of all the units, so relay 1 of all the units. Okay, when the two extreme left constant of the controller of unit 1 closes, so extreme left contacts of this controller closes, so what happens when the closes, the positive collector of the unit 1 2 3 sends the current through the extreme left relay of each unit. So extreme left relay of each unit, so here is the relays are connected here, so they will send the currents to the relay units. So the current of the relay unit 3 passes through the lowest most coupling cable here. So current will be passes through, so the relay will be passes through the motors. So here is a motors, we have a motors, different motors. So these two current passes through the lowest of the coupler. So these currents then travel up to the contactor of the controller, to other contactors come down to earthing rail. So it is from these motors, so they will contact to the controller unit here. So this is how you have a 3 motors. Okay, all the 3 motors are connected in a series fashion, one above the other. So using this coupling cables are the electrical contactor which will contact the two units here. So unit 1, unit 2, unit 3. So all the motors will be controlled at the similar place, at the single place all the motor actions will be controlled. So we have a relay cables, relay contactors, everything. So based on sending the relay signals and other things, so sending the, this is a control unit. So from this we will be sending a signals to this relay contactors. So these relays will operate. So once these relays will be operating, so the current from that will be passed through the motors and motor starts operating. Okay, and motor starts, then you can control the motor. So that is why, so you can the objective of this is to achieve the multiple unit. So it is the motor coaches must be capable to control from the single unit. So you have a different motor coaches, but it is capable to control from the single place. So this is achieved by using this method. That is why it is called as a multiple unit control. Okay, it's very important type of this one. So we have a various safety measures also. We have earthing trial, so earthing cables, so positive earthing collectors, okay, so all the units have an earthing cables, so which will definitely protects the circuits from the various any faulty occurrence. Okay, so this is about the multiple unit control techniques. Okay, next is the control of three-phase induction motor. So this is about the this one. Next, the control of single phase induction motor. Yeah, we'll discuss about the control of single phase induction motors first. Yeah, here the control of speed and torque of a single phase AC motor is done by applying the varying voltage. So this is the schematic representation of the control of your single phase induction motor. Okay, so this is achieved by applying the variable voltages. Since there is no rheostats are used for starting, so there is no loss of power during the starting period. Okay, a transformer provided with a number of tappings on the secondary is used here. So here is a transformer, so it's a collector. So collector and the transformers, they are provided with a number of tappings here. So you see here we have a 12 number of tappings here. Okay, so each control point becomes running point as many speed are obtained as the number of taps. So as many number of taps we have, those many number of speeds can be achieved here. Okay, so the contactor method is a tap changing which is used as shown in the figure. So here is a tap changer. So if you change the tap, so you have a certain voltage, then another voltage. So by changing the tapping, so you can vary the voltage. So then it is once again, if you vary the voltage, so your this one is also varies. Okay, similarly you can see here the precautions must be taken. The only precautions you can see here, this is the notch point and these are the contactors. So initially the one tap, so these two taps are connected, then 4, 5, 6, so like this. So tappings are there. So this is a transformer. Okay, so the secondary of the transformer, this is a primary of the transformer, secondary of the transformer, there is a tappings are provided. So the tappings are changed. Okay, so based on the, once the tappings are changed, your voltage will varies, then the speed is also going to varies. So it's a compensating winding and the your motor is are there. So based on the tappings, so we may, this motor receives the voltage, based on that the speed is also going to vary. So the only precautions which must be taken to see that there is a successive segment of tapped windings are not short circuited. So there should not be any short circuited while tapping the this one, while changing from one notch to other notch. So there is a, while changing from one notch to other notch, there should not be short circuit. Okay, so two successive contacts are closed each notch. Okay, and the contactor carries the approximately half of the motor current. That means, so that you should be very careful while changing the taps of the motors. So if there is something is happens, then short circuit, then it will definitely it will what we can say, destruct the entire process. Okay, this is the what we can say, this table which will indicates the number of tappings for different intervals, the notch positions and the contactor positions. Okay, this is about this also same thing. Then we have another method. This is about the C phase controlling of a 3-phase induction motor. Yes, let's discuss about Control of three-phase induction motors. So in a polyphase induction motors, there are some of the following methods are used for the speed control. Okay, so one is rheostatic control, then pole changing control, then the cascaded arrangement. Okay, these are the and the combination of cascaded and the pole changing. So let me discuss about the rheostatic control here. So the control methods of three phase induction motor. So we'll discuss about what exactly rheostatic control. So this is a simplest but at least efficient method of control. So it's the simplest and the least efficient method of control. So metallic or the liquid rheostats are inserted in a rotor circuit. Got it? So the metallic or the liquid rheostats inserted in the rotor circuits. So these liquid rheostats are performed as they have no inductance and the resistance can be cut out smoothly, giving a uniform start. Okay, so with the starting resistance completely cut out, so as your starting resistance is completely cut out, so about half of the energy supplied during the starting period is wasted in the starting resistance. So in this rheostatic, half of the energy is wasted. So this method is applied to light the locomotive and the motor coaches where the single speed of is sufficient and energy consumption is no great consideration. So it is for the lighting, so it is for the industrial railway lighting it is used. So this method is applied for the light locomotives and the motor coaches where the single speed is sufficient. Okay, the second one is pole changing. The second one is the pole changing. So we will discuss the rheostatic is nothing but we are using a simplest way, but it's the least efficient method. So what we can say, so the metallic or the liquid rheostats are inserted in the rotor circuit. So by varying the rheostats you will be vary the speed also. Okay, then pole changing, another method is pole changing. Yes, so yes, another method is pole changing one. So the windings on the stator may be so arranged that with the different connections different number of poles are available. Okay, so these windings on the stator which may be arranged in such a way that there is a different connections for the different number of poles are available, so which gives the different speeds. Okay, which will definitely gives the different speed. The choice of number of poles on the single pole changing winding is of the ratio of 2:1:15 or 2:1 or 1:1.5:1. So alternatively depending upon the winding, so the pole will be changed. Okay, then also it will be used for the speed of controlling of the distance. So windings on the stator may be arranged so that with the different connections the different number of poles are available with the given different speeds. So different number of poles are available with the different speeds. So by changing the poles we will be changing the speed as well. Okay, so another important method is the cascaded arrangement. So cascaded arrangement, here this requires two motors which have to be mechanically coupled to the generator. Okay, we have a stator, just a minute, yeah, we have a stator 1, stator 2, okay, rotor 1, rotor 2. Okay, so this is the starting resistance. So this requires two motors which are mechanically coupled together. A typical cascaded arrangement shown here. So three phase supply is given. Okay, so three phase supply is given to the stator 1. The speed of this is 120f divided by p1 plus p2. So p1 plus p2 in terms of rpm. So f1 is nothing but the supply frequency, p1 is the number of poles in the first motor, you can see the first motor, and p2 is the number of poles in the second motor. Okay, so what happens, the plus sign is given to be used when the torque of the two motors are same directions. So here the p1 plus or minus p2 they have given. So here the plus sign is used when the torque of the two motors are of the same directions. If the torque of both the motors are in the same directions, so then the minus sign which is used when the motors are differently connected. So the torque will be in the different directions, so the negative sign is used. So here this positive minus plus or minus, so when they are in the same directions its plus sign is used here. Okay, so this is the cascaded arrangement of a control of three-phase induction motor. So here are the three-phase supplies, three-phase stator, rotor. So they are cascaded in a connected in a cascaded fashion. So starting resistance is used. So by cascade connecting of the three-phase induction motors also we can control the speed of the motor here. Okay, and the another method is combined of cascaded and pole changing. So both motors have the same number of poles. Okay, combination of cascaded and pole changing. So we have cascaded, it is combination of, it is a process which consisting of the combination of the cascaded as well as a pole changing. So both the motors have the same number of poles, but the number of poles can be changed here. Okay, with the equal number of poles on both, one speed is obtained and then the more speed are possible by pole changing. So combination of this cascadely connecting of the cascaded connection. So cascade connection of the induction motors along with that pole changing. So that is also used, that is also helpful for the speed controlling of the induction motor. So these are the different methods of controlling of the speeds of the induction motors. So that's it about for the how the controlling. So here what we discussed, control methods for the induction motors. Okay, what are the different control methods? That is pole changing, field weakening, cascaded connection, rheostatic control. Okay, so then multiple unit control, various methods we have discussed. So they are very helpful for your exams. Just go through that. Okay, so with this your third module is gets over. Okay, the next module will be taken by the another staff. Okay, thank you for watching. If you got any doubts here in this particular module, you can feel free to contact me anytime. So you can always feel free to contact me for clarifying your doubts with related to module number 2 and module number 3. Okay, that is illumination engineering and the traction. Okay, so if you have any doubts, you can feel free to contact me. Okay, with this your third module will be gets completed. Thank you.